Hi, everyone. Welcome back or welcome to an episode of Healed. So, this podcast is really just a transparent podcast where we talk about faith, we talk about God, we talk about healing, but more of God healing. And so, we are very transparent about this. And as we start to grow, I'm hoping to bring in guests that have gone through a healing journey or currently in a healing journey. Um, but understand the power of God in that journey. Because at the end of the day, God gets the glory in the story. And so this is a podcast where God is getting the glory in our healing stories. So for this episode, I really want to talk about the concept of God soil. And so let me give you some background. I'm currently reading The Power of Your Dreams by Stephanie Ike Okafor. She's an amazing pastor. She is probably one of my favorite pastors to watch on YouTube. I learned so much from her. But the book that she wrote is a guide to hearing and understanding how God speaks to us in our sleep. And so I am someone that can have very visual dreams. And to be transparent, lately I've been having dreams. I have just been completely crazy on the spectrum. And it has gotten sometimes to the point where I just used to not want to even go to sleep because I'm like, God, this is not feeling good. This is evoking fear, anxiousness. It is bringing up just very disgusting things that can take place in some of these dreams. Some of them is can just be, you know, weird stuff to fearful things to things that will try to be like sexually immoral, just things that I know are not of God. But I will just wrestle and say, God, what is happening? What doors am I opening? Why do I keep having these dreams? What is this evoking? Dot, dot, dot. So I've been had this book and I started to read it before and I put it down. I start reading something else. But God is so good because what he does is he allows us to be able to receive in a timely manner that he knows we'll be able to receive it, if that makes sense. Basically, what I'm saying is he knew that at the time I bought the book, I wasn't able to receive the messages in it. But right now, because of the mental state I am in, the restful state that I am in, the things that are happening right now, that I'm at a state to receive it way more. And I'm receiving such revelation from it. So as I was reading a chapter in the book, it was talking about how do we discern where our dreams came from. And she's gotten to a point where she's talking about fear, and she talks about fear comes from our first emotion of feeling a fear. And then as we start to come into agreement more and more and more, it then plants seeds that opens up doors for a spirit of fear to come in. And so as I'm reading this, God gave me this amazing vision. If you don't know, I love flowers. I don't like gardening because I don't like bugs, but I love flowers. And the analogy of gardening, God gives it to me a lot, planting seeds, all of this great stuff. So he gave me a vision of a beautiful rose, and the beautiful flower was being planted in a garden. And it was like, it was just growing and growing and growing. But the minute that we allowed a feeling of fear, because it starts off as an emotion, as a feeling to come in, it started to show this sort of like black tarish, disgusting type crop that started to grow and come over the flower. And it was just starting to show like this flower is still trying to grow, it's still fighting to grow, but this black sort of weed, tarish, just disgusting looking plant started to grow over, thorny, just not good. And it's starting to grow over, it's starting to take root within the flower, within the soil that the flower was planted on. And so it was like God was allowing me to see that the minute that we allow one seed of whatever it may be, fear, anxiety, depression, or whatever it is, the flowers in the garden that God is planting on his good soil, will start to be infected. And it will start to be infected by those very thoughts that we allowed in because we then came into agreement with it. And so I'm sorry, I'm looking at notes. So as it starts to grow deeper and deeper, the roots grow deeper and deeper. So now we have this garden that has deep seated roots of fear, anxiety, depression, lust, dot, 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 whatever it is, whatever feeling or emotion you're allowing in or you have allowed in or you are currently fighting has now allowed deep-seated roots to grow in on top of this beautiful rose, this beautiful garden. Replace it with whatever flower that you like. And I was overtaken. And as he started to show me, and what's connected to roots. What's connected to your roots are other people attached to you. So if you are a parent, the things that are connected to those roots are your children. So now it was like God was showing me how generational curses come about. This is why we have generations of people that now deal with the same depression, anxiety, sadness, lust, idolatry, adultery, all of that stuff, because it was a seed that was planted on soil that was supposed to be for God, good God soil. And now it's been overtaken by thoughts that we have come into agreement with, deception, temptation, that we have come into agreement with. So now it has planted seeds in our good God soil and it is overtaking it. So now those roots are not attached to the roots of your children and their children and their children and so on. God also showed me, like, this is why it's important for us to understand who you are partnering with. You are in a single season right now, and you are thinking about marriage. You are thinking about partnering and becoming a covenant unit with someone. It's very important for you to understand this, because what happens is we then are on our good soil, and then we marry someone who is in their tarred, weeded soil, and now their weeds attach themselves to our good soil. And so now it's kind of like, okay, where did this come from? I've never felt this way before. I've never dealt with this before. Well, it's because things are spiritual when you connect yourself to someone as well. And as he was showing me this, he was just showing like generational roots. And now and if you even have the ability to look up how roots are formed and how deep they go, it will blow your mind. And so when God is talking about seeds and soil and roots and things like that, it's really important for you to understand what it looks like. I'm visual, so I get it that way, but how he has to uproot this. And so this is why when we come into agreement with things, covenants with people, agreements with thoughts, agreements with words spoken over us, agreements with curses and altars and all of that stuff, we have to come out of agreement with it, because the minute we come out of agreement with it, God is able to get in and uproot those roots. He's able to get in and move the soil around, you know what I mean? And get to the